Hey all, it is Moonlight Cowboy again, and I am here to talk about lighting today. A lot of people have requested a lighting tutorial from me, and it's been a while since somebody has released a really good lighting tutorial that I have witnessed. With that said, Nuka Violet has a really great tutorial out there. It is a little older, but it is one of the best lighting tutorials I've ever seen. Now, to be perfectly transparent, I just saw it for the first time right before doing this video, and the reason why I watched that tutorial right beforehand is because I didn't want to be copying a lot of other people's ideas or make it come off as like plagiarism or anything like that. So these ideas that you're going to see in this video are concepts that I've come out with or that I've just seen in the wasteland and I've been really enamored with. So with that being said, I took out some of the things that I was going to talk about in my video, like color gradients, because she really did a fantastic job covering that, and I just don't feel like it's important for me to cover that. So instead, I'm going to focus on the lighting that I do for my camps. And if you want to see Nuka Violet's tutorial, it is in a link in my description. So with all that being said, one of the first things that I think we need to cover here is that not all lighting is the same. So you see here we have two very similar looking lights, but they give off two different auras. There are some lights that I don't use very often because of the light they give off. For me, flooding light like this, it kind of drowns out the way your camp looks inside, and it really takes away some of the detail, especially with accent lighting. So I don't use that. I don't use funky lights like this very often because I don't find a need for it. So with warm light versus white light, here we have two examples of white light. They're candles, but then you go to this lantern here, and well, that's more on the warm side. See, it gives off more of a golden glow versus these other lights. Now these are more white, but they still have a little warmth to them. So I created this room over here, and this room has a bunch of the warm lighting in this game that we have. It's not all of the warm lighting, but you don't just have to use the lighting itself. You can use the environment to your advantage. For example, the wallpaper or the floors can create that, that warm glow off of them. So there's a lot of different options to create a warm lighting effect in your camp. Now for environmental lighting, whether it be daytime, nighttime, that cool purple pink hue in the sky during the morning or evening, or the materials you use. Like in this camp, I use those ultracite shards, and at night, look how much different that looks, right? So those all make a huge difference. Like look at this right here. So I have the trees, I have the windows there give that really nice shadowing, and if I don't have trees to give shadowing, I like to use things like vines to give shadowing. So in this example, I have vines on the windows, and look at all those really cool shadows on the ground. That's like free decor that I have for my camp that I can showcase. So then we have weather stations, which is another way that you can affect the environmental lighting around your camp. Just be careful because it can change the hue of your lighting that you have in your camp. It can make lighting a little warmer, but it can also make all the lighting that you don't want to be warmer. With that said, I'm just going to go through some examples of warm versus white, and then we're going to move on to my favorite light in the game. But as you see here, these are, some examples. That one there looks on the warmer side, and so does that, because the walls, the rocks, the things that are around them make it look warmer because of the reflection off of whether it be the wallpaper or those materials. This is an example of white light, but again, it's on a white background, right? So, depending on where or what you're putting the light into, whether it be through a merge or whether or not it's your wallpaper or it's around a bunch of rocks or plants or trees, it all makes a huge difference on whether or not you are capturing that warm and light. And you can really use that to blend the type of lighting you have. Now, with that said, all of the lights that you saw for the most part are all done with the same light. So I use the environment or the wallpaper or the different things around to make that lighting. And my favorite lighting in the game is this right here. So this here is the miniature holiday lamppost. If and when it becomes available for Bethesda to put in a ticket, I highly recommend getting it. It's a great accent piece for your lighting. You can merge it into darn near anything, and it's small. So I'm going to show you some really cool things that you can do with this. The first one here is with these little planters. Now you can't do it with there's a gray one and two brown ones. You can do it with the brown ones here, but look, this isn't even a merge. I can just set that in the back of that one, and then this one I can kind of just put it up to the front, and then boom, I have some really cool accent lighting. So for the cost of 2 budget, which is what a light normally costs, I can have decor that lights up, and instead of it being super bright, it gives it more of an accent. Here's another example. So I'm going to make a glowing crystal ball here. I rotate it to make sure that the lamppost is going straight in. So once I make a few adjustments, I'll go ahead and merge that down here in a second. Whoop. Gotta adjust it one more time. And now I'm going to go ahead and merge that thing down because it's about perfectly centered. And once I do that, I can go ahead and put this on the pressure plate right here, hide it inside of the vault boy in there, and now I have a perfectly good glowing crystal ball. Add a little piece of accent lighting. I'll show you an example of that here real quick. Now the lighting around here, there's other lighting that kind of drowns it out, but you can get an example of how you can use something like that, and hide your light in there. My favorite thing to put lights in though is the succulents. They look so great as an accent piece, but then when you add lighting to them, it just makes them pop. It really brings in the eye when you are looking around the camp. Look at that. That looks amazing. So, and that's really easy to do. You're just merging them down in there. Look at all these little accent pieces around there instead of having the lights super bright. I even put them in the trees here by destroying the trees and setting them inside of there. So really great ideas here if you don't want to flood your whole camp with light and you just want to have little accent pieces. You still get enough illumination, but instead of blowing it all out with a big bright light, you can have something really cool like this where everything is like a little detail that somebody's going to want to look at. Now you're probably saying, Moonlight, I don't have this light. Like, is this whole tutorial going to be about that? So I'm going to show you some other lights you can use. These jars give off varying degrees of light, and they can also be accent lights that you can put in small places, or they can be decor all on their own, right? So those are one idea that you can use. For those of you looking for base game items, these candles here for white and the lantern for warm. These are really great items that are not as small and not as easy to hide, but you can merge them into little potted plants like this, and those come out looking just fine, giving you another piece of accent lighting for the cost of one light. So here's a trick that I use with the candles specifically. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put that on top of this stump, and then I'm going to use my camp device. I'm going to raise it up. Now I'm going to raise it up slightly above where that flag is, as you see right there. And there's a reason for that, because now I'm going to take this other candle and I'm going to put it on the stump. I'm going to merge that down. So I brought it up, merged it down. And what happens here is now I have two pieces of illumination. So for the cost of two lights, I have two decor pieces here once I adjust that. And I think this is a really good look. It looks a lot more custom than slapping two lights on a wall. So hopefully you like that as an idea for your camp, and you can do it with other things too, obviously. Here's another one, the Kwanzaa candles. So the Kwanzaa candles cost only one budget, and they're not even in your light. So you can use it and it doesn't count against your light budget. So I'm going to merge it here into these succulents right here. You can merge it into other things, but I like this because they're about the same shape. So I drop the succulents down on top this time so that the candles just pop through. And then I put them onto a little table. So again, for the cost of 3 flamingos or 3 budget, I'm now going to have a fully or mostly decorated table that's lit up with succulents on it. So I think that's a pretty sweet deal. And it's something that you could do in your house if you have the Kwanzaa set. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about wall lighting. So I like these little enclave lights. They're a little bright, but they work really well for lighting up paintings, custom paintings, because most of the painting lights that you see out there are warm lights, and I'll show you how to do those in a minute. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to destroy that painting. I'm going to put the enclave lights inside of the painting. Once I destroy it, it basically connects to the wall instead of to the painting. Now, I'm going to repair that painting, and I'm going to put a small decor item on the ground. I'm going to blueprint the duck and the painting. So after I've blueprinted it, and the reason I blueprint it is because it's going to be the right height. So I've made it exactly that height. Once I do that, I can actually free place it on top of the other painting. And that way it looks like maybe a little bit thicker frame, but it hides the lights very well. And I think that's a really good look to do clean lighting. You can also do this with the phone. This one's easy. This doesn't even really require a merge. You can just slap that phone on there most of the time, and it should work. So next, we're going to cover the other type of lighting, which these are like what I call the painting lights or the poster lights. So with these, kind of a similar process. I'm going to blueprint them once I get the height that I want. So there's my small camp device, or camp item, excuse me. And then once I have this blueprinted, I can now place it on the wall, but more importantly, I can place it inside the wall. Now, while I'm doing this, I want to make sure I mention that the closer the light is to the wall, the less bright or the less profound the lighting is. So as you'll see here, I'm going to place this here, and that looks pretty bright. And I'm going to sink this one a little further, and now it's more focused, but you can barely see the light. But that could work for you for like a smaller picture. And there you go. So now you don't have that poster sticking out, and now you have those little kitties, and they're lit up different levels. I also like this white spring wall light. Similar reasons. So I can, as an example, just that when I'm double walling, I can put it behind a painting there and then just change the door back to a wall. One of my favorite lights that I like to use, though, is this guy right here. This is a standard item you can find in-game. And all you have to do, really, is destroy the wall, like so. I'm going to slap that light in there, wherever I want that painting to be. And I could really put anything here. I could put the painting here. I could put other decor items like clocks or even a surfboard, right? So really nice way to be able to hide lighting without it being super focused or super bright, and it still gives you the effect you're looking for. Illuminates. I also like these little yellow diner lights because they don't give off a super bright light, but instead they give off a kind of a smaller light, just maybe twice as bright as the miniature holiday lamppost, but I like them for another reason too. I use these in merges too. As an example, we have here the mini Nuka planter. Pretty common item for those of you who've been playing for a while. I don't even have to do anything special. I can just place these lights inside of it like so. And once I've done that, it does two things. It lights up the little bushes, and it also makes it look like it's anchored in my opinion. So I think it's a cool effect. You just got to get creative with things. Like this item, I just put it down below, destroyed the wall, and added the counters, and now I have like a hyper white down there. So really cool ways that you can use your wall decor items or wall lighting to create really cool effects in your camps. Now, light letters is a huge one for me for accent pieces. When you need handles, when you need something on your mirror, or you want HBO on your TV, anything like that, you can use these things for. They make really good, easy items to be able to add that little extra touch of detail to your camps, as you see in these examples with these kitchens that I did, or the bathroom that you saw. So again, I'm not going to cover lighting for colored lighting as much as like Nuka Violet did, because she did such an amazing job in that video. I was actually blown away how much I didn't know about colored lighting before watching it. But, a lot of people like the colored lighting. This is Silver Bunny right here. These are a couple of her camps, and she does an amazing job with the lighting as far as the colored lighting goes. For me, I use colored lighting sometimes as an accent piece, as you're going to see in this example. So I'm going to show you what I use for like my televisions, and I have a tutorial about this as well. So backlighting a TV, that TV looks nice, but it's kind of meh. So I'm going to give it a little pop, and we're going to destroy it. By the way, that TV is a half wall if you didn't know. I'm going to add these little blue neon lights. I like the blue on this specifically, especially when I'm using the space wallpaper. And once I add 4 of them, it is a little bit of a budget drain, but wait until you see this effect. It looks really cool in my opinion. And boom, look at that. It really makes it pop. It actually makes it look like the TV's illuminated a little bit. So I really like that effect with the color lights, and you can do it with the enclave lights too. So again, if you like colored lighting, I definitely recommend checking out Nuka Violet's tutorial. So floor lighting isn't something I do a ton with, except for decor or if I'm hiding it inside of something. Again, be careful because there are varying light differences. You see the aura between those two lights, how much broader that one is. But I will use it for decor items, and I do like to make them look special. So, use a little keg, threw the lamp in there, and merged it into a table. Or in this case, I used a stein to make it look like a vase. This is a perfect example of how I usually use them, though. I'll destroy the items like this, and I'll just slap them in there. And then, without really a lot of fuss or heartache, I can just add accent lighting to my counters. And there's another example of me using them with signs. So just get creative with it to make new camp items so that way they look fresh. So roof lighting. These are my favorite lights in the game for roof lighting, the Asylum lights. There's a few reasons for that. They're very thin, so you can hide them in walls. See, I got that light up there. It looks extra special up there. Otherwise, that roof would be like super dark. In these rocks right here, I wanted them to have a little bit of reflection. Like I worked really hard on those rocks. So if you look, bam, there is our Asylum lights right there, and they're adding that really cool detail to those rocks. And as you see, sometimes with the wallpapers or like this, the fireplace, you can, it gives a little bit of reflection off that stone, which is also a really nice effect. It's called focus lighting. So these, as well as this light right here, which is a mid-century lamp, are two really good examples of focus lighting. This one's a little brighter, but like if I need that light to reach the floor from the very top of like a tall build, this is a great way to do it. It does flood it out a little bit, but it is a really nice light. So this is the cone light. And this one is cool because you can hide it really easily, as you see there. And in this example, I have them up in the roof. So it kind of gives it a futuristic look to it, but they're really easy to hide if you don't want the rings there. If you see in this build right here, I didn't want the rings in there, so I hid them up a little higher up in the roofs. A little bright, but they work pretty well. If you want to show your lights, these lights are cool, as well as the cage lights. So this is something that I did here with the with those lights using the conduits, looking like a kind of a street market. And then you can do similar things with those lights as well. And the cool thing about these lights, not only are they warm, but then you can get them in game too. So another light that I love for a different reason is these fluorescent lights, because we can make shelves out of them. It's pretty cool. So I just stacked them like you saw there, and then I'm going to place them on the wall. And really, that's all I got to do. I don't have to do anything crazy with them. As long as the item is small enough, you can just place it on there. As you see here, I'm just placing items. And you can control the degree of light that you want to come from this thing just by turning on and off however many lights or whatever light you want to be out of there. And this is an example of what that looks like. I think that's a really great idea. Something you could do in your camp. It does cost a little budget. Now, something else I really like to do is hang my lights off of, like, say, a conduit and wire. So I have my conduit there. I'm going to add a ceiling fan to it. Once I do a little bit of adjusting, because I want it to be perfect, and you'll see why here in a minute. I'm going to make it perfect. Then I'm going to put it onto this pressure plate. And once I get it on there, it's hanging off. I can then spam, and it actually lowers it down off of there. Now, once I got it to that height that I want, I'm going to go ahead and put it on top of this roof. There are cleaner ways to do this. I'm just showing you kind of one of the easier ways to do this. If you guys want a tutorial on how to do it a cleaner way, I can do that. But basically, I'm just going to, now I can set a conduit on top of that ceiling fan, like so. And then once that's set up there, I can go ahead and flex that roof, and I can add my cable to it. Once that's done, I now will take that roof, turn it back, and now I have a hanging light on my ceiling fan. It's hanging. I think that looks pretty cool. Again, there are cleaner ways to do it. If you guys want to know how, let me know. For honorable mention lights, I definitely want to discuss this. This is a conduit light. It doesn't count as lighting budget, but it does eat away at your budget. It is a pretty bright white, and it's a white light. So if you're running out of light budget, that one's a good one. And then there's these. These are the studio lights, as I call them. They come in colors, which is cool, but they are kind of difficult to hide, but they do make really nice focus wall lights. But anyways, I want to give it a try. So this is a camp that I built. This is one of my favorite camps. What I did here is I actually went and I yanked all of the lighting out of this camp. We're going to do the lighting all over again. Now, I wouldn't normally end with lighting. I would do lighting as I go, so I can find those nice spots where it's dark, where I want to add that light. But for this example, we're going to light up this whole camp, and I'm going to show you how. So again, it's dark. Now we're going to make it look really nice and pop. So first things first, I've got my succulent right here. Like I said before, I love adding lights to these succulents. Now, if I didn't have these holiday lights, I'd probably be using candles to go down in there, and then probably merge the candles down in the table, because that table's so low you wouldn't really see the candles from underneath, and I would still get that illumination. But I do love these holiday lampposts. You're going to see me use this a lot in this attempt at lighting my camp. So there, we put them on top of the table again, and once I got them placed, I'm just going to go ahead and merge those down into the table, and that creates a nice custom piece of lit decor for my living room as like a centerpiece. That's why I use 2 lights there, because to me it's kind of a centerpiece. So just got to center that table again, and we shall be good to go with that. Next, I'm going to start adding some accent light pieces to my kitchen. Again, using the miniature holiday lamppost, putting it into the Kwanzaa plate like I did before. I'm rotating it. This doesn't have to be perfectly centered, but you know, I'm kind of OCD about that stuff. So once that's on the plate where I want it to be, looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and drop a pressure plate here. And the pressure plate trick's really easy. You just drop it, you move it a little bit, or pick it up, put it down, and then you can merge stuff on it. You can also use a mannequin too, for those who have friends that like to go and step on their pressure plates. Once I get that merged down just past the fruit, I can then just put that on the counter, and that one's pretty easy to do. And now I've started a little bit of lighting there as well. As I'm walking through and I'm seeing lighting, I'm just going to add it where I see dark places. So next that refrigerator was a little dark, I'm going to go ahead and slap one in here into this toaster too. For this, there's not really a really great alternative. I could probably use a candle underneath, or have burned down those counters like you saw in the one example to add some accent lighting that way. But I really like these lights for this purpose, so I'm going to go ahead and plant that there. Now, this is a great light. That's the countdown chandelier, and it doesn't give a lot of direct light down, but it lights up the roof real nice. So now we're going to attempt to put these are the asylum lights. They're an in-game item. I'm going to put them in the wall. This may not look good. We're going to try it and see how it looks. But they are my favorite lights, so they're kind of my go-to. So if they don't work, I have alternative ideas. I'm just lining it up with the wall and with the TV to make sure it's kind of centered right there, as you see. So once I get that straight, obviously the struggle is real there. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and burn down that wall. And once that's destroyed, I can go ahead and put the light inside of the wall. I could have probably burnt down the other one too, but for what I'm doing, I don't think it's going to matter a whole heck of a lot. I can get it real close to where I want it to be. That the wall, the in-between walls is a little tricky to get your lights. So once that's there, I'm going to do the other side too, where the paintings are over here. And again, this might not work for what I'm trying to do, but we'll see. We'll give it a good go and see how it looks. All right, now that everything's in position, I repaired the walls. I don't really like the way that looks, so we're probably going to change that up here in a minute, because I think that it floods too much on the floor for my like, and it kind of drowns out the work I did on those succulents over there. You kind of don't notice it. So what I'm going to do instead is go to my second go-to, which is these lights. I can then repair the wall. I'm going to remove the other lights, or actually I already have in this example, and repair everything there. And look, it doesn't give quite that same glare on the floor, and so I'll do it on that side as well. But yeah, so you have options. You don't have to necessarily go with the first one you like. So I love that light, but I went with a different one instead because it was a little less. Here on those plants, I don't really even merge those down. I just put them in the branches. All right, so for the next thing that we're going to attempt here is this TV. I'm going to put 2 of these lights. Now, this might be a little too bright for what I want to do, so I might end up going with one, but we'll see. Right now, we're just going to go with that. I like that better than the other light anyway. We talked about these succulents, so I love them. I'm going to merge a light down into that. Usually about anywhere from 5 to 7 clicks is good to get the light down. If you merge it down too far, you're going to lose the light. It's just going to light the bottom of, like whatever it's sitting on, whether it be the table or whatnot. You're not going to get like that nice glow, the green glow off the leaves. You're going to miss that detail. So got our pressure plate, move it, and then put that on there and click it down. Pretty easy. And once that is where I want it to be, probably could have went down one more click, but once I got it where I like, Let's put it on this table over here. It lights up the table real nice. And again, nice little piece of accent lighting right there for you. Move that back. Ta-da! All right. Now for this wall. Because the other lights work so well, I'm going to go ahead and try and put this one in here as well. We'll see how that looks. It might be too bright, and if it's too bright and floods it out, I have an alternative idea. We might go with the yellow diner lights instead, but we'll give it a go. We'll see how it looks. You can always change your mind, right? With most things in your camp. So, yeah, it's a little too bright, but we're going to leave it there for now. We'll come back to it. I'm going to add another one of those lights here to the company tea machine. Like the little accent that it gives there at the base. So this is a little detail I like to add whenever I'm using these things. I'll just put that thing back in position. Fruit bowl, same thing. You see a theme here? Yeah, I love those holiday lampposts. So if right now, to my knowledge, they're not available in Bethesda when you can put in a ticket for it. But if they come back around, they would be one that I would definitely encourage you to get. It'd be like a priority one minus like catwalks or some vines or something like that. They're right behind those for me. So for the bigger succulent pot, I don't merge them down, but the one like this one, I do, just because there's not as much foliage there. So we'll just put that back into position. I could have used candles there too, very easily. The only reason I didn't use candles is because of the light budget. Candles cost two flamingos and a light budget, and those holiday lampposts don't cost but one flamingo and no light budget. I did the same thing here with the daffodils. Merged that down. Could have used the candle. So a lot of these ideas, just because I'm using the holiday lampposts, doesn't mean I couldn't have come up with a different idea to do to get that accent piece for us. So once that's good, that's going to go right into my bedroom right here. Slap that in. I also added those little yellow lamps. Now I could have churched them up a little bit, but they match the door that's back there. I'm going to do the bathroom. This is a great example of why I like this light. So once I pop that, repair it, I've got a mirror here. I'm going to go ahead and repair that mirror. And it almost gives it a perfect aura around that mirror of light. So let's take a look. I'm not going to make you look through my whole camp while I do every last light, but I wanted you to just get an idea of what I did. So right here, I put in 3 holiday lampposts, as you saw from the video. Inside here, I did a bunch of holiday lampposts. I added the countdown chandelier. The fireplace I had left there just because it's really hard to get out. So there's one option for the kitchen dining room combo. Option 2 right here was with the miniature or with the yellow diner lights, and then I put only one TV inside the wall, which is what I ended up going with in the end. There's another view of that, also with a enclave wall light inside of that phone. So I thought that came out pretty good, and you can see there's just little accent pieces around that kind of give off a glow. In here, I just have the lights inside of the planters and inside of that, over there in the succulents, as well as the ones on the table. So table lights, then you have the succulent, which is right there. And then there was one behind the door, which I did not film there. In the bathroom, I have 2 holiday lampposts in the tub, and you'll see why in a minute. I also have the light that you saw put behind the wall, and then I have the one in the vase right there. So right here you'll see those lights. They kind of light up the bottom of the tub from that angle. I also decided to relight the top of my camp as well. I had a little area up there. Now I turned it into more of like a place where you can hang out, grill, barbecue, that kind of thing. So added a bunch of lighting in here as well. Most of it is holiday lampposts, but as you see, I merged the umbrella patio table with that one light, and I thought that came out pretty good. So that's me lighting this camp. I'm just going to show you some quick light ideas for warm lighting. So I built this guy right here just for this warm lighting video. I mean, I'll probably still post this build on my channel, but I wanted to give you some context as to what that looks like. So as you see, a lot of lampposts are here. In fact, downstairs, I think there was like something like 14 of them. And I also used a lot of those cage bulb lights, as you see right there. So those are really great as well for the warm lighting. In here, I used some candles. as well as more cage bulbs. So cage bulbs, candles, you'll now see a couple of the lanterns right there, and then of course the wall sconce. In the main room, we have a fire over there in the stove. We have the branch lighting up there, which gives off the warm glow. We have a lantern, and then some decor on the shelf. So, in closing, if you found this helpful, if you know somebody who will find this helpful, please feel free to share it. If you're not subscribed, subscribe or like the video or any of my videos. It all helps, really. I really appreciate all of the encouragement that I get from everyone out there in the wasteland. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this today. I hope that you all stay blessed, and hopefully you came up with some really good ideas. Have a blessed day, everybody.